Welcome to this episode of the Ninth Grade Experience podcast. We have a special episode again. This year, we're catching up with some of the freshman class officers newly elected here at the beginning of October. So we're just catching up with them after they were just newly appointed, seeing how their year is going, why they wanted to be involved as class officers, maybe giving a little background on that as well too. So I'd like to take a second here to thank Bella Desiderio, who is the president-elect of the freshman class. So thanks Bella for joining us. And then for Angela Tran, who is the secretary-elect as well. We may be joined by the vice president and the treasurer throughout the conversation here. So when they come in, we'll gladly get them involved. So thanks a lot for joining us, ladies. So I like to start off first by asking every guest, whether they're an adult, whether they're a kid, to describe some of their ninth grade experience. So you all have had a very unique, interesting beginning to your ninth grade experience here at Emmaus High School. So we're in week 9 of the school year, hard to believe. So what has your ninth grade experience been like? And whoever wants to go can go first.
I can go first.
Oh no, sorry. So far it's been like pretty stressful, I think. Well, with like the new block scheduling and stuff, they decided to put me in all my hard classes first, so that's fun. But I've had a decent time trying to manage everything.
So that's kind of interesting. Like, it's funny, you get to see so many kids in their different schedules. There are some kids that it feels like that they have no classes here in the first half of the year. It's like they have one of their core subjects, like the math, science, social studies, or English. And then they have like photography and gym and skills for living. Not to say those classes are easy, but they're not as intense as some of the academic classes. So Angela, what is like your schedule like here at the beginning of the year? How many of what kinds of classes do you have currently?
Okay, well, I mean, my first block is gym, so that's like not bad at all. Second, I have bio, not the best. And then third, I have a push. And then fourth block, I have geometry. So it's like pretty jam-packed.
So a push, just so I'm clear, is that a advanced placement U.S. history?
Yeah.
As a freshman?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So you're taking biology honors, which is a class that we talk so many times on this podcast about as one of the harder ones for freshmen. You have an advanced placement, which usually kids are taking that in their junior or senior year. And then you're in a geometry, which means you've already gone through algebra 1 and algebra 2, correct?
Yeah.
So you're doing a pretty intense schedule here to start off with. So you are definitely jumping both feet into the fire here as we start the school year off. So you're doing okay. You've kind of figured out like some good strategy. Like what have you figured out so far here early in the year to like kind of help you to deal with those classes?
I don't know, nothing like in particular that I can think of. I have some friends in my classes, luckily, so they've been like a great help in helping me with like anything I have trouble with. And I've also just like tried to find a rhythm with how to like balance my homework and stuff with other stuff that I have to do.
So you're trying to balance all your academics in, and then, just for fun, you decide, I might as well run for a student government office as well too. So we'll get to that in a second here. So Bella, how about you? How's the beginning of your school year been?
I think it's gone pretty well so far. It's definitely been hard to feel like connected and staying engaged because like there are just things happening around my house that I get distracted easily. But my schedule is pretty good right now, and some things that have helped me is writing down like a time schedule, like where I know when I need to get things done, and leaving my phone outside of my room so I'm not distracted.
So you're trying to figure out how to kind of regulate yourself, like having that phone there all the time, maybe not the best idea, trying to figure out different strategies on how to get yourself involved too. So as you finalize that answer here, we're joined by our next person here. So Sarah Greene, who is the treasurer of the freshman class, just popped into the Zoom meeting here. So hi, Sarah, how's it going?
Good.
So we just kind of started, and we were just talking about what everyone's ninth grade experience has been like. So if you just want to kind of jump right in here and kind of tell us what is the first 9 weeks of school been like for you, and just wondering, I think I was talking to Bella earlier, and she said you're back in the building this week. So if you want to kind of tell us what has it been like this week with coming back into the building, and kind of how the beginning of your ninth grade year has been.
Yeah, it was fine virtual, but I'm sure everyone else thought it was weird. I mean, to be virtual. Back in the building though, it's been really fun, at least in my opinion, just to see everyone and actually get to like meet our teachers and say hi, and it's nice.
What have you noticed? Obviously you weren't in the Emmaus High School last year, but what have been like from your ideas of like school and what high school was going to be like? Have you noticed like any huge differences, or like what you were expecting like before everything? And hopefully we were coming back to some sense of normalcy, but not really now. But like, as you've kind of come in those first 3 days here, what have you kind of thought school has been like? And have there been anything that you've been like, oh, that's not as bad as I thought, or this is kind of not as good as I thought it was going to be?
Yeah. Well, at least in my perspective, I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult to find my way around, but it really wasn't. Like after the first class or so, I started to realize like I knew where I was going, and it was a lot. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be, like transition wise.
And it's interesting when we talk to freshmen on this podcast all the time, they do talk about that, like, oh, I come into school and I'm nervous about where things are. And then coming in 9 weeks after the real beginning of school, you were in for maybe that one day in August, but same thing. You go through your schedule a couple times and you're kind of right into the routine. And I think it's pretty helpful, like, to be here and there's only, maybe less than half of the kids that are normally here. You only have 4 classes. We were talking before you came in about the block scheduling and how, Angela's taking some pretty tough classes, but then she's kind of working her way through it with only 4 classes at a time. So I think it's kind of interesting that I think it's got to be a little bit easier to find everything around the building when there's not as many classes kind of going on.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think if there were more classes, I would have struggled a little bit more.
So for our students that might hear this that haven't come back in for remote, or maybe, in that November time, if we're still making the decision between coming in, maybe that's something to kind of ease your minds a little bit, as maybe it's not as intense to kind of find your way around in the schedule that we have going here. So it looks like you've all talked about some good things that you're kind of figuring out here about keeping yourselves busy, keeping yourselves on track by like eliminating distractions, or kind of, finding those different things. So, it seems like you're all very busy with different, academic stuff, but then you decided at the beginning of your freshman year in this weird kind of, weird year to decide to run for class officer. So, we have Bella, who's the president, Angela, who's the secretary, Sarah, who's the treasurer. And why did you all decide to run for a class officer position? And what did you hope to get out of like kind of doing that? Whoever wants to go can go first.
I ran because I thought, especially this year, I wanted to help people feel more connected with people being virtual and there in person. I know it's probably really difficult. And I also wanted it to help people with like the mindset that they have going into it, because I think that's a lot of what it's about, and how you like look at things, and you just have to look at it with like a positive lens and look at opportunities that you have during this time, because it is different and it's something we haven't experienced before.
And then Sarah or Angela, why did you all decide to, take on this extra responsibility of a class officer position?
Well, I agree with a lot of what Bella said, and specifically I ran for treasurer because I wanted to, because we are virtual and it's really weird this year, I wanted to still try to help to make sure that the stuff we're going to do collectively as a class was still going to be fun and interesting, and that everyone was going to feel included and like they had a say. So I wanted to be part of that.
And then how about you, Angela?
Yeah, kind of what they said. I just like wanted to help out and help with like all that stuff. And I also just wanted to like try to challenge myself, I guess, and try to get myself more involved in things, especially now because there's not really much to do.
And it's, it's always we're talking about on this show about people getting involved. So it's, another thing. Are any of you involved in any other current clubs or activities or sports right now that you're also involved with too?
I am. I'm in Young Democrats Club.
Okay.
In addition to this, and I want to join Model UN.
Okay. I just saw that. Yep. I just saw the ad for that in the advisory bulletin.
Yeah, it sounds really fun. And I'm also, outside of school, I do karate.
So you are never a dull moment for you, it seems.
Yeah.
Is anybody else involved in any other club or activity here at the high school?
I'm in Key Club, and I'm applying to be in the student government club too.
Okay.
And I'm also trying out for the Emmaus dance team.
Oh, okay.
And outside of this, I'm on a competition dance team at a studio.
And Angela, how about you? Are you involved in any other stuff? I know you got a crazy academic schedule, but you're doing anything else too?
Yeah. So in school, I'm in Key Club also, and outside of school, I'm in Youth Volunteer Council, and I figure skate.
Ah, figure skate. So where do you figure skate? That's an interesting one.
Steel Ice Center in Bethlehem.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of cool. Like you never, where I grew up, there was like an ice skating rink nearby and they did do like figure skating, but that's not something you hear, it's like obviously not a school sponsored sport. So you don't hear about it as much. So figure skating. So you, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something stereotypical skater thing to ask you. Like, can you do like, what kind of jumps can you do? Or like, what can you do as a figure skater? Anything fun?
Yeah, I guess.
But it's really interesting that you all three of you kind of offer that you're not only like doing really well in school, you're also involved in so many other things to keep busy. And we talk about that all the time, just making sure finding things that you really like to be involved in. A lot of you are in volunteer organizations, like looking to help out other people. You all talked about doing that through student government as well too. You talked about being involved with like Model UN and the Young Democrats Club. So you're involved in like learning about the world as well too. So it's really great. And I think it's a great example for our freshmen that are listening of like how to get yourselves involved and things to do. So I'm going to ask you a really bizarre question. This is my 12th year here at the high school and I really don't know the answer to this. So I'm going to ask it. And if it sounds kind of like dumb, just let me know. But what do class officers do? Like I've never actually I know you're the president of the freshman class, but like what does that really mean? And like, what are your responsibilities here for the freshman class throughout the school year?
I think it's about like keeping the class informed about what's going on around the school, especially as like freshmen, we're still like learning. So I think this was a good opportunity for me to like help get that information out. So the freshmen are informed with all the things that are available at Emmaus High School.
Cool.
As Bella mentioned, the same kind of stuff, but also adding on to what she said about school dances, one of our big things that we fundraise for is for the prom that we're going to have in like a couple years. So that's what a lot of our fundraising goes towards.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think like that, you're starting freshman year and you're already raising money for the prom. And I always have to remember prom is junior year. The senior ball is senior year. So it's two different events. I'm, I guess, old school in that the prom was always 12th grade, but here it's always the prom is junior and senior ball is 12th. So kind of a difference there. So it's kind of really interesting what you are all like kind of doing and, raising money for already and kind of doing all that different stuff. So in addition to that, like fundraising and other things, like what else will you be doing throughout the school year or other things like you talked about, like getting people involved, getting them aware of stuff? Like if I'm a freshman and I want to find out what's going on in the school, like where would you direct me to look or how would I figure stuff out or how is like, how is the like the class officers, like how do they communicate this stuff out to the freshmen?
I'd say definitely check your class folder, like class of 24, and also make sure you check your email like every day or after every class, just for any notifications or reminders about anything.
Cool.
And for information that the class officers would give out, we are waiting to get approved to have an Instagram account for the class of 2024 where we will post information and things going on around the school.
Do you know what the handle will be, so when it goes live, everyone will be able to find it, or no? We're not allowed to say that yet. That's under wraps. So when I go out, I'm gonna go create a EHS class of 24 Instagram to steal it from everyone, and then you have to like buy it back from me. Okay, so if people can look for that. They can look on the Schoology page. They can look all different spots. So lots of different ways to find out and get yourself involved here at the high school, and kind of, these ladies here are going to work pretty hard to get you involved and get you aware of different stuff. So as we kind of finish up here, I know you guys have given a lot of great tips and information here about, how to kind of navigate this crazy beginning of the freshman year here. But if there's one thing that you would tell the freshmen that are listening, or even the parents that are listening right now, like kind of how to navigate what we're going through here, what would you kind of leave them with?
I would say, like I said before, like a lot of it is just the way you look at things, and choosing that like positive lens to look at like everything that's going on right now, and like what opportunities that you've been able to have because of this. And like, I don't know if I would have ran for class president if this didn't happen, but I wanted to be able to help during these times. So yeah, just definitely look about your mindset and the way you're looking at it.
Cool. And Angela, Sarah, any last minute tips or tricks or strategies you want to give to anyone that's listening?
Honestly, not really. Just be patient. Like, everyone is crazy. It's all crazy and everyone's confused right now, but it's just gonna get better. So like Bella said, you just have to have a positive mindset and keep on going.
Yeah, I was just kind of gonna say the same thing. Like, we're all experiencing this, and you're not alone, really. We're all having trouble. We're all going through this stuff, so we shouldn't dwell on it too much, really.
And I really like that. You said that we're all going through this. Like, teachers are going through it, administrators are going through it, the kids are going through it, parents are going through it. So we're all kind of in this craziness together. And when you look back, however many years from now, and you look back on your freshman year of high school, and you kind of look at all the different craziness that has been going on this time, it'll at least give you some good stories, or at least things that you might not, necessarily want to remember back on, but at least you'll have some good things to kind of draw from at that time. So I wanted to thank Bella and Angela and Sarah today for joining us. So if you want to get more information about the class officers and what they're doing, look on the Schoology page there in the class of 24, and then look for the soon to be arriving Instagram account, which I'm sure they'll publicize all over the place. So Bella, Angela, and Sarah, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.